Good evening. Gonna try not to cough my head off. I started coughing right before the show, as usual. And a friend of mine had an extra inhaler that they gave me. And once in a while when I use that thing, it actually causes the reverse effect because it starts breaking a bunch of stuff loose. But that's a good thing. So, pardon me, let me catch my breath here. So, as you already know by now, I posted a picture on the thumbnail of an item. And, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know what preppers are going to do if they don't have one. I don't think there's any chance that people are going to be able to pull it off. You got to have one. Got to have one. Actually, it's just a troll. I broke part of one part of the product that I'm beta testing. Like, first day out of the gate, I broke a part. And yes, it involved using a hammer. So, anyway, that you saw in the picture is my replacement. So, I can't tell you what it is. It's clearly a mount of some kind. I mean, you could tell that much. But I can't tell you what it's a mount to. I can't really give you any details. I just had to troll you guys for the fun of it. At some point, you'll know what it is, but right now I'm bound by an NDA that I can't discuss anything. I just wanted to troll you guys. I figured this is a kind of a crazy looking piece, right? So anyway, it's a mount. I can't tell you again what's the mount to, but it is a mount, and it does involve the item that I've been beta testing. So. Had a mystery box coming from California from FedEx, and we've been watching it for the last 4 or 5 days, trying to figure out what in the heck that thing was that was being shipped to me. And I cannot confirm or deny that, Hexafoos. That's all I can say is I cannot confirm or deny that. But you know, anyway, the part that it originally came with, I broke it, being a total dumbass, doing something I know better than you're doing, but actually something that a lot of people would make the same mistake. We have pretty hard ground here, especially if it hadn't rained in a while. And so, that, like I said, that is a mount. That is something that you would put in the ground. And so, I obviously has something that screws on it, and I'll just say it's a post. And I had the post screwed on it as I was hammering the mount into the ground. And that was a dumb idea, because what happened is it broke off the threads. You see that little stub that comes out with the threads on it? Well, on the original one, I broke the threads off. It just broke that whole lug off. And so, apparently, word got back to the company, because the original one I had was cast aluminum, okay? Just common these days. And if I'd have been using my head when I'd have been driving the mount down in the ground, I would have taken the pipe off, the tube off of it, and that wouldn't have happened. But anyway, word must have gotten back to the individuals that make the product, and the one that they sent me, the one you see the picture of, seems to be made out of steel, and it was machined out of steel. So it's, in other words, another term is billet. That thing is not going to get broken. I think it's hilarious, though. um, but I didn't get any of that done. It rained a little bit this morning yet, and so I don't want to get anywhere near anything wet. I need to quit talking about it. What I need to do, I need to quit talking about it. But otherwise, I'm going to let stuff slip. But anyway, it's okay if I troll you. I can't let anything slip. Let me clean my glasses off. I was like so disheveled. So right before the show, right, usually about 30 minutes before the show, I open up Twitter and I start opening up tabs. And this evening, me and Charles were flying earlier, and it was after 7 o'clock when we got done flying. And so I pulled up Twitter to start putting up, things to talk about. And lo and behold, it didn't dawn on me that the entire day I had not shared out a single article from RT. Well, why not, you might ask? Because I'm used to getting up in the morning-ish, turning on the computer. I've been sleeping in a little bit, or I'll come in the living room, lay down on the futon, and go back to sleep. So I said ish. And I normally start the computer up, and I'm faced with the little RT icon on my browser with a number in it. Nothing. And because I didn't have that visual cue, I don't know. My brain just didn't go there. It was strange. The entire day, my brain must have just totally blocked the fact that it didn't share out a single headline. So, I click on the RT thing once I realized I wasn't sharing out headlines today. I clicked on the RT thing and it was blank white. There was nothing in there. And I'm like, okay, what gives now? Because Google has really been playing hell with RT. And so I went straight to RT.com, and lo and behold, I had to go through a verification thing to even go to their homepage. I had to verify that I wasn't trying to more or less attack their servers, is what it is. And then, after I went through that so I could bring up their homepage, then articles popped up in my little extension. So that's when I just literally, right before the show, went and shared out all the headlines. I really wish they would stop. It's so frustrating. It really is. I don't know of a more accurate source, which is why I use them. And it's highly frustrating to know that you got into it, and I'm not talking about any agendas they may have or any, because I'm sure they do. But, it's probably not a good idea to continue on with this mindset of just letting people investigate themselves. And what I mean by that is if you want to know more of the truth about what is really going on in your country, go look at news in other countries. Same as their citizens, if they wanted to know really the truth about what's going down in their countries, they'd probably be better off to find a foreign source of news. Unfortunately, we live in a dishonest society. I didn't do it. I can't do nothing about it. All I can do is work around it however I can. So anyway, that's why I use RT. But I got that squared away. Hopefully I think about it tomorrow morning and make sure that I'm able to connect and everything's all good with that. In fact, I'm going to check now because, when they play games, they play games. Okay, I'm loading in fine, so. But, I don't know. Other than that, what did I have to talk about? Not much. Just, keep doing everything that you've been doing. As long as that's positive, moving forward things, Keep doing what you're doing. Keep those preps going. Don't give up an inch on that. Things continue to go the same way that they have been. I'm not seeing any chance, yet not even a chance for relief. I'm just not. There was some news that came out today. I don't think I shared an article out on this. So I'll bring it up. Social Security had their announcement today of their increasement. I'm making up words now. Of their increase. What was it? 8.7? 8.7%, I believe is what it was. Which, yeah, it's a considerable amount. However, you take a look at all the inflation that we've had in the last year alone, and it wipes that out. And then some. So, it is what it is. And I know there'll probably be a lot of people throwing a fit about that because they have been here lately. Some people just, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's typically the people on one team, one particular side. Craziest thing, that the absolute kings of justification, I'll tell you that. That would be red team. The absolute kings of justification. You thought blue team's bad with that. Oh, no. 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 Because, see, anybody, and in most red teams' eye, anybody that gets a little help from the government, they're lazy, they're losers, they're scumbags. Unless it's somebody they know. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, they always have an excuse and they always have justification for the people they know. Right? But anybody else is scumbag. I'm not a fan of discriminatory people, if you can't tell. I will shut it down in a heartbeat. There are people that used to be regulars here at the Watchman News. What happened? They got shut down. Why? Discrimination. I'll do it in a heartbeat. I don't care if it's discriminating against somebody's social status, their financial status, their religion, their race. I don't care what it is. Any discrimination doesn't fly with me. When he tells me who to hate, I'll hate. But until he tells me what group of people that I'm supposed to hate, I don't think I'm going to let man tell me that for him. Just saying. Not going to do it. When you got a book that tells you to love your enemies, and you got a society telling you to step down on those that are already down, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll go with the book. Anyway, back more on target. I had to cover that because I know there's going to be a lot of throwing a fit and crybabying, right? Pinball. I got a whole lot I could say there. But I just take ease in the fact that I've got enough common sense to know what will happen to individuals like that in short order after the balloon goes up. Their control problems won't be problems for very many people for very long. Which is kind of one of the things that I did want to bring up before we go into talking about news. You know, as we're making this final run-up, as I call it, I look at this as a final run-up to SHTF. That's what I'm looking at this as, right? I think we're just right there, right? I think we're just given this last chance to push forward and get what we need. It's really time, and I mean this, that folks take stock in everything. I'm not just talking about your material possessions. It's time you take stock in everything. Of course, your physical goods are a big part of that, but you even need to take more stock in yourself. And I mean that. There are a whole lot of people that like to talk a big game. And you know when people are talking that have been there, different situations and stuff like that. People that have been in those situations know when other people speak about those situations, whether they were there or whether or not they're just feeding you a line. Experience is everything. And there's a whole lot of people that I think underestimate what we have coming at us. I think they overestimate some areas of it to a stupid degree, and other areas they don't even spend any time thinking about. I hear all these pepper channels, me. It's been a big topic lately. I hope folks have a very, very keen level of discernment when this goes down. There are some people that aren't going to make it very far. And the reason they're not going to make it very far is because their attitude will not let it. I get that we have to be firm. I get that we have to be strong. I get that we have to defend ourselves, our loved ones, and our possessions. But I'm going to make a bet. I'm going to bet that the more of an ass that somebody is to somebody in need that may come knocking on their door, just as an example, I'm willing to bet that there are a whole slew of instances to where people had somebody like Pinball's attitude get all stupid and belligerent and all of that just when somebody's trying to seek a little bit of help. They're going to get taken out. That's why I laugh at people like Pinball. They ain't going to make it very far. That's what I'm talking about, taking stock. We all have our quirks. We all have our personality differences. And in some cases, especially in my case, I don't have a problem raising a hand and saying it. I've got personality issues out the butt. And I know it. That's the stock I'm talking about taking in yourself. I know my issues. I hold them out in front of me. There's many times I'll tell people about the most important issues to know about me and the first time I meet them. Why? Because it's important, if I want to have any kind of a relationship with them, that they understand me on at least a little level. One thing I don't like to impose on people. It's very rare I contact people. Why? I don't like to impose on people. I like to do things on my own. I like to do things by myself. I don't like to ask for help. By the way, that's one of my personality quirks. And, I'm aware of that. I'm also aware that I'm a very standoffish type of person. And I make sure to tell people that. If I think I'm going to have a relationship with these people, and I'm not saying date them, I'm talking about be their neighbor, whatever, I let them know immediately. One of the first things out of my mouth is I explain to them, hey, I've got PTSD. I'm one of those people, I don't like to be a burden on others. I don't like, so if I seem standoffish, don't think anything of it. It's not anything remotely that I don't like you or anything like that. It's just me. It's just me. If you need something, by all means, at any time, come by, and I make it a point to let them know that. Because if I don't, they're going to have a real bad opinion of me in short order. And it's just going to be because they're picking up on very weird vibes from me because of my personality defect. Well, I call PTSD that. It's not really, but in a sense it is as well. So, but it's probably a good idea to really take stock in oneself. And if you're somebody that's pumping yourself up for the big game, you might want to open that nozzle and let that air back out. One thing about pumping that balloon up bigger and bigger and bigger, the bigger and bigger you pump it, the harder and louder it's going to pop. Just remember that. So when you're out there proving to the world, that, or not proving, but telling the world about how big of a badass you are, and then the first incident you come up to, you wind up getting taken out because, nope, you weren't. That's what I'm talking about. I see it with relationships a lot, to be honest. People build themselves up to something that they're not, and then things don't work out because everybody thinks everybody changed, and it wasn't a matter of changing, but the person that you initially met wasn't really who they were to begin with. I see that. I also see this with relationships a lot. People pull this game to where they act like they're so tough. They're so tough. They don't care about nothing, right? And then 2 months later, they're crying because of how they were treated and dumped. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have put off yourself as being so hardcore and somebody that could take anything. Maybe if you're not so hardcore, maybe you shouldn't act like you are. Maybe you should be honest about who you are. Maybe, just maybe, that might be one of the very problems from the very get-go in every relationship. I see it all the time. See it all the time. We have to be honest with ourselves. It's going to be a long, long, hard road. There are times I sit back and I think about it, and I think about it from many different angles. Some of them are not even that important, like this. That's what I'm talking about now. Isn't really that important. But I sit there and I think about it from the angle of, wow, it's kind of crazy. I look around me and I got all this technology. I got this computer, I got drones, I've got, all this technology around me. How much longer is that going to be available? What's going to happen then when that faucet of goods gets turned off? Because it's coming. Kind of crazy. I sit there and I let my mind go with it a little bit. And just crazy. But a lot of nut stuff we're about to deal with. That's why it's important people take that stock. I'm telling you. It is not going to go well for those that don't. All right, let me real quick take care of this. And I've got a few tabs open. Got like, looks like, 5, actually more than I thought I had. Let me have a sip of coffee. I need to go back through and watch, I missed a couple Mondays. Ma'am Country Living has been doing a man building Monday. And, I don't know. I just get these thoughts. They just poke me on the side of the brain. I'd missed a couple. I need to go back and, those are good. So, Ma'am Country Living. And, on Mondays, he's been doing something called Man Building Monday. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, no wonder. Like everything's fuzzy. Put on your glasses, dumbass. There, that's a little better. Dads shot each other's daughters in Florida road rage gunfight, says cops. Alrighty then. So funny. Not this. I'll explain what I'm talking about. I think it's so funny in a second. Bear with me. 2 crazy dads have been charged with attempted murder after allegedly opening fire and hitting each other's daughters in a terrifying road rage gun battle in Florida. Where else? Authorities said. Strangers William Hale, 35, and Frank Allison, 43, shot at each other's vehicles with semi-automatic handguns during a high-speed cat-and-mouse chase late Saturday, and were finally busted when they got out and started brawling on the highway, according to cops. Didn't even care about their kids. During the gun battle, Hale's 5-year-old daughter was hit in the leg, and Allison's 14-year-old daughter was shot in the back, leaving her with a collapsed lung. What's scarier than one crazy driver with a gun? 2 drivers with a gun, the shock sheriff said. Really? That's not, I'm sorry, but people having guns is not scary. People doing stupid stuff with guns might be. Thankfully, no one was killed in this incident, but it could have very easily turned out that way because 2 people were acting stupid and let their tempers get the best of them. There could have been 2 dead kids because of 2 stupid grown men. Leeper said the agency received multiple 911 calls with the reports of people being shot at on Highway 1 near Callahan, no relation, in suburban Jacksonville. There's a town called Callahan in Florida? Really? Huh. I won't move there, though. I'll talk about that in a second. Hale from Georgia and local man Allison were speeding and driving erratically, Leeper said, adding that the men were also brake checking, which he explained was a practice that involved getting in front of each other and applying the brakes. At one point, Hale pulled his Dodge alongside the Nissan to start shouting, just for Allison's wife, Jessica, to flick him off with her middle finger. In response, a water bottle was flung back at her. The driver of the Nissan, Allison, then grabbed his Sig Sauer .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun, hey, at least he's got good taste, and fired 1 shot at the Dodge truck before driving away at an average speed. Leeper said, saying that the driver admitted firing the shot to get out of the situation. The bullet that Mr. Allison fired went into the right side rear passenger door and struck a 5-year-old girl in the right leg. Hale later told officers that he heard a loud pop but thought nothing of it until everyone started freaking out in the back seat, Leeper said. He then realized his daughter was shot, the sheriff said. Hale then sped up and began firing several shots from his Glock 43 9mm semi-automatic handgun out of the driver's window, the sheriff said. Hale later admitted that he shot everything that was in the magazine, 7 or 8 rounds, the sheriff said. At least 3 bullets struck the Nissan. One of the bullets went through the rear of the vehicle and struck a 14-year-old girl in the back, he said. Both men's wives called 911 during the wild battle and agreed to pull over to meet a deputy, court documents show. Instead, both men got out and started arguing and fighting. The deputy had to break up the fight, Leeper said. Both men were arrested and charged with second-degree attempted murder, the sheriff said. They were each released hours later on a $150,000 bond, court records show. I don't get. There are 2 states that I just don't understand it when people talk about how proud they are to hail from those states. And that's Texas and Florida. I agree with Bear wholeheartedly. Texas isn't as Texas as it thinks it is. Not even remotely. And Florida, you can have that nonsense. Not only is the nonsense of the people there, the cost of everything is just stupid high. And then, on top of it, they don't respect the Second Amendment in Florida. Are you kidding me? I did a report several years ago on a woman that fired a warning shot in the air. Her life was being threatened with a deadly weapon. She fired a warning shot in the air and went to prison over it. Her life was in danger. Somebody was trying to shoot her with a gun. She didn't want to kill anybody, so she chose to shoot in the air to scare them away and went to prison for it. Nah, you can have Florida. All you want. I don't know. As far as the story is concerned, this is what I'm talking about. Strong men, that's weak men. That's a sign of very weak men. Strong men don't do shit like that. Major German power supplier hikes prices. Germany's energy giant NBW AG announced on Tuesday that the gas prices for households will rise by an average 38% starting December 1st. Now, mind you, these prices are already up just dramatically. Yeah, that was down in Florida. Yep, down in Florida. You know, the amount that they've marked stuff up has been insane. And they're talking about 38% more. Anyway, the company attributed the hike to higher costs in the wholesale markets. However, if you look at their books at the end of the year, they're going to be bragging about record profits. They do it every time. According to the company, the prices will average at 13 euros and 50. I don't know how you say that in their numbers. $13 and 54 cents. Would you say cents? I don't know. I absolutely have no sense. So, per kilowatt hour, the bill for a typical 4-person household will grow by an additional 768 euros or $745. I know those per year. The announcement comes around 3 months after the previous increase became effective. As a result of the war of aggression on Ukraine, the energy markets have been experiencing unprecedented price increases and permanently high price levels in recent months. And permanently high price levels, I like that. Do you like that? How they slipped that in there? The firm elaborated, explaining that gas prices on the wholesale markets, which averaged around 2 cents per kilowatt hour in previous years, have increased 5-fold to about 11 cents per kilowatt hour so far in 2022. ENBW also told Spiegel magazine that even after the announced hike, gas prices will still be below the market average. At the same time, the power supplier expressed readiness to consider proposals from the government aimed at mitigating the increase in energy prices. So basically an energy bailout, right? There's a lot of people that didn't catch that the whole student debt forgiveness thing was just a new name for a different banker bailout. That's all that was. That was a banker bailout. That whole debt forgiveness crap, banker bailout. They just aren't going to use those words because you would put it together and be like, whoa, wait a minute, why are we doing this again? But see, as they have it now, you're on the asses of all these young people that took out these student loans and totally missing the fact that they just did another big banker bailout. And it was the same setup as what the mortgage companies were with the deal in 2008. They gave these people free rein to lend money to anybody that could sign their name. And then, when it became time to pay the piper, the government paid them. And then you paid for it in your taxes. Wasn't student debt forgiveness, folks. It was a banker bailout. Student debt forgiveness would mean nobody owed that money. Now, that money got paid. Oh, that money got paid. The banker bailout. And this here, energy bailout. And if we let it happen, we're nuts. We're just insane. If we just sit back and let them pull this and do this, we're just insane. I said it a long time ago, way before I ever started this show, that the American people need to just take it in the gut, bring the house down, and rebuild it. And I had talked about how much easier that it would be to be able to accomplish that then. We're talking over a decade ago when I was saying this stuff. Now, we're more than a decade later. My statement rang ever so true, and I'm stating it again. We either bring this down and bring it back up under our control, or we let them bring it down and we're at their mercy. Sacrifice a little now for a little while, or sacrifice everything for forever. I can't make that choice. Not for every individual. I only know for me. I know I'm done playing. I am done playing. I guarantee that. I am done playing. U.S.-Russia relations can't get any worse, says Moscow. U.S. President Joe Biden's latest remark indicating his unwillingness to negotiate with his Russian counterpart is unlikely to further worsen an already dire global security situation, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said. The diplomat noted that Moscow is, however, still open to dialogue, but that no sensible offers have so far been forthcoming from Washington. In an interview with Russia's Russia 24 news channel aired on Thursday, Lavrov was asked whether he thought Biden's reluctance to talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin would further complicate tensions in the international arena. It doesn't complicate it at all, because the state of affairs as it stands today has already been driven, first of all by the U.S., to such a condition that it can't get any worse, in my opinion, the Russian minister replied. The diplomat pointed out at the same time that Moscow is not shunning dialogue with Washington. According to Lavrov, Russia has never rejected a single earnest, sensible offer to hold contacts. However, No one is putting forth sensible initiatives, he added. Speaking to journalists on Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, and I'm not sure how she says it, said that President Biden has no intention of meeting with President Putin. The statement echoed a remark made by the U.S. head of state to CNN's Jake Tapper on Tuesday. Look, I have no intention of meeting with him, Biden said when asked about his plans for the upcoming G20 summit in Bali. The U.S. president went on to add, however, that if Putin came to me at the G20 and said, I want to talk about the release of Griner, I'd meet with him. I mean, it would depend. So in other words, no, he don't want to talk to him about anything important. He only wants to talk to Putin about this dumb thing. And it goes on to say it about the drug charges with Griner. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. You know, you could sell the people of this nation out in order to get that thing back into the United States. And that thing would just tell you how disgusted it is with this country. Let it rot. Hey, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, look. It is what it is. She had illegal, he, she, whatever it is, had illegal contraband in her possession, in their possession, whatever it is, in a foreign country and got caught. Don't be a dumbass. Maybe. 50 years old. What year was it that weed became legal? 2018, maybe? I don't know. I'm 50 years old. I've been smoking weed since I was a teenager. How many drug charges does anybody think I have? Go ahead. How many drug charges do you guys think I have? Been smoking weed since before I could drive a car. By the time I was riding my bike uptown by myself, I was smoking weed. Leo's got it. 0. Goose egg. I have 0. I don't even drink, and I've had an alcohol charge on my... I've never had any kind of drug charge. Not a possession, not a... Nothing. Right? Why? Because I wasn't a dumbass. I sure the hell wasn't going to put illegal contraband in something I know damn well is probably going to get looked at. It's crazy, you know? It's crazy. It's not that I've got an issue with the fact that it smokes weed. I don't care a bit about that. But when you do something that stupid, and I'm sorry, that is that stupid, it is what it is. Assange is sitting there rotting away in a cell for doing nothing but trying to help the good people of this planet. And all we can do is beg to let us have our disrespectful athlete back. I don't know. U.S. issues bleak economic data. Like you need an article to tell you this. The core U.S. Consumer Price Index, which excludes food and energy, rose 6.6% in the year through September, marking its highest level since 1982, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports. Data released on Thursday shows that the overall CPI rose 0.4% in September compared to August, twice the 0.2% projected by analysts, even as the annual rate slowed slightly to 8.2% from 8.3%. The core index is viewed as a better tracker of underlying inflation pressures since food and energy costs can whipsaw from month to month. Whipsaw? I've never heard that term before. The report indicated the gas and food inflation has generally eased up from levels seen earlier this year. Meanwhile, shelter costs led the way, with the related index climbing 0.7% through the month. Transportation services saw prices jump 1.9% last month, notching the largest one-month increase across core CPI components. They were followed by rising costs for medical services. Economists say the report signals that inflation is a persistent problem even amid large interest rate hikes from the U.S. Federal Reserve. It will determine how further the regulator will push with its aggressive tightening and keep rates high until there are signs that inflation is cooling off. U.S. stocks briefly nosedived following the inflation report, but later recovered from an early session drops. So, yeah, I know. I just thinking that as I was reading that, I was thinking, we really need experts to tell us this stuff. I mean, really, do we not know? That's why, now I don't know anything about money, as far as investing and all that stuff. Nothing, absolutely nothing. But I don't have to be an economist to know that this nation's in trouble. A whole lot of trouble. I think that those individuals that use all of that crap, the economy, I think that the whole thing's a hell of a lot more simple. But I think they confuse it or they confuse you as much as they can. Because then you need them, right? You need them to stock-splain everything to you, right? That's what you pay your investor for, to stock-splain things to you, right? Oh, it doesn't make any sense to me. To me, adding that middleman, it's like, I do harp on this quite a bit, it's like motivational speakers. If you listen to a motivational speaker, you've already missed the point. You've already missed the point. It makes no sense, right? Because that motivational speaker is supposed to be motivating you to do for yourself. Well, if you were doing that, you wouldn't need them. But yet, the motivational speaker will only bring you to a certain level. Why? Because you need to buy their next DVD. That's why. And then their next DVD and their next DVD. Right? They don't teach you to be independent. They teach you to be codependent on them. So anytime that you hear somebody talk about you need to listen to a motivational speaker or something like that, you gotta look at them sideways because they're kind of missing the whole point. Let's see. Halloween parade axed over inclusivity concerns. Pennsylvania school district has sparked angry backlash from parents after calling its annual Halloween parade for elementary students, with officials citing safety and inclusivity concerns. This nonsense really needs to stop. The Lower Merion School District informed parents of the decision in a letter on October 7th. The move covers all 6 elementary schools in the district. In an email to Fox News Digital, Amy Buckman, Director of School Community Relations, confirmed the decision, saying there were concerns for the safety and security of the students parading outside among a crowd of unscreened adults. Look, I know that we've had some crazy things happen, especially in the last year. We've had a couple of parades where completely disgusting individuals decided that was a good target. But this isn't what they're talking about. When they're talking about unscreened adults, they're not talking about that whack job that's driving that SUV through the crowd of people. Insane. Another is a lack of inclusivity of students whose families do not celebrate Halloween for religious or cultural reasons, Buckman wrote. Schools will still be hosting the fun fall activities in the classrooms, she added. Oh, really? So when have you ever had a problem with trampling over religious beliefs? That's what I want to know. Never had a problem before. Why now? Now all of a sudden we have to remember this? Now mind you, you're talking to somebody that don't celebrate the Christian holidays. I don't celebrate Christmas. There's probably a reason why. It's in the book. Well, anyway, I just don't understand like I said, they're using this whole tolerance thing. They're using this whole diversity thing to actually take your individuality away. They're not giving anybody any individuality. What they are doing is they are normalizing absolutely anything that you decide. Anything you decide. If you want to dress up like a puppy dog and you want to go around and live the rest of your life as a puppy dog, you will find entire groups of people to support you. That's how fucked up we are. Pardon the language. Insane. Halloween used to be my favorite holiday, by the way. And my coming forth spiritually is not what changed that. It had nothing to do with it. And if I didn't have so many Halloweens in a row that were absolutely just completely ruined for me, that gets me. I'm not a holiday person, by the way. So Halloween was like my baby. I thought it was like, this is my favorite holiday, right? I don't associate it with evil and Satan, and I associate it with people getting dressed up and kids going and getting candy. That's that. And favorite holiday ever. Well, before my life went into a tailspin, there were several Halloweens in a row that more than one person did everything they could to absolutely ruin everything about the entire holiday. So I no longer pay attention to it myself. It is what it is. It's nuts. There's a whole lot I'd like to say about my past, but I'm doing everything I can to bite my tongue. The biggest reason why is because they done me so bad. I want them dealt with on the same level. But if I even remotely want that to happen, I have got to focus on keeping myself on good terms with him. Goes right back to the best lesson my dad ever taught me. Give someone enough rope and they'll hang themselves. With that, I'm going to get out of here. Hope everybody has a good weekend. I gonna just kind of try to be chill. And hopefully we'll be back Sunday, God willing. And we'll talk to you then. I appreciate everybody coming. Do hope to see you on Sunday night. I hope you have a great weekend, a good Shabbat. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.